So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the NFL offseason is about to get underway, and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the rest of this coaching staff are going to try to put together a team that can go compete for a division title, go compete for a playoff spot, a hosting seed, as well as potentially a Super Bowl. But the one thing that has really changed this offseason so far about the Detroit Lions has been their coaching staff. And there's been a lot of changes on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, with the Lions losing quite a few key coaching positions over the last month or so, mostly to the Carolina Panthers, but also a few going other places. So today I found this graphic. The Detroit Lions put up a graphic. It is on Instagram, but it is the best display that I could find of the official coaching staff for the 2023 Lions. And I just kind of want to go over it, talk about some of the changes, talk about some of the coaches that a lot of people might not know about, talk about maybe some of the future coaches and future coordinators in the making and things like that, and really just get familiar with this coaching staff that's going to be taking our football team into the 2023 season. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the head coach, Dan Campbell. There's not enough to say about this guy. I mean, he is, I think, the perfect head coach for Detroit. He got so much better last season with clock management and aggressiveness and being aggressive at the right times, and just overall was really productive for the Detroit Lions, right? It started off a little shaky. It started off being, not necessarily the greatest team, right? They started 1-6 because they were a little bit too aggressive at times because the clock management wasn't perfect. But as the season went on, Dan Campbell worked really hard. You could tell, improved a ton over the season and really just kept getting better and better. I think he's really filling into more of the X's and O's side of being a head coach while already excelling at kind of the motivational speeches, the locker room presence, the preparedness aspect of it. Those are things he's always done very well, and he continues to improve on the things that he was not very good at. And I think he, as I said, is just the perfect candidate for the Detroit Lions and is the perfect head coach for the Detroit Lions. Now, Scotty Montgomery is the first addition to the Detroit Lions coaching staff. He is filling in as the assistant head coach / running backs coach, of course, taking over for Deuce Staley, who did leave for the Carolina Panthers for the exact same position. Wanted to stay closer to home, wanted to be able to help his mom out, which I think is very admirable of him. And the Detroit Lions replace him with Scotty Montgomery, somebody who was in the running for the offensive coordinator position before Ben Johnson was hired, and was somebody the Lions were potentially going to offer an offensive coordinator job to before they knew that Ben Johnson was going to return. He is somebody that has head coaching experience at the collegiate level, has a lot of experience being a running backs coach in the NFL, most recently of the Indianapolis Colts, where he helped Jonathan Taylor see career high successes. I think Scotty Montgomery is a very good pickup. Again, kind of filling that Deuce Staley role of hopefully bringing some energy, but also having head coaching experience, also being the assistant head coach, being just somebody who is very admired around the league and somebody that is very much wanted. Even after signing with the Lions, did interview for the Buccaneers offensive coordinator position. He is somebody that was sought after in this coaching carousel, kind of part of the year, and did eventually come up to be a Detroit Lion, which I think was a very big pickup for the Lions overall. Now, Ben Johnson, of course, is the offensive coordinator. We know a ton about Ben Johnson. Could not be more excited about him returning. JT Barrett and Mark Brunell are the quarterback coaches. Of course, JT Barrett, the former collegiate quarterback, and Mark Brunell, the former pro quarterback. I think they've done a great job with Jared Goff. Hopefully they can help develop a young quarterback in the class. Hopefully it's a day 3 quarterback, develops into a backup, and just is a very solid, good player for the Lions long term. But I think both the quarterback coaches are very good. Tanner Engstrand is a person that was the tight ends coach last year, being the tight ends coach and the pass game coordinator. This year was I guess, technically demoted to just the pass game coordinator because they wanted to add Steve Hyden to the roster of coaches. Steve Hyden coming over from Arizona, where he just most recently coached up um, McBride, the rookie tight end from Colorado State, whose first name is escaping me, as well as Zach Ertz. Arizona had some pretty good tight ends last year, so I think he's a pretty good pickup. But going back to Tanner Engstrand, this is a person that I think will take over for Ben Johnson when he leaves. Again, being a very big part of the pass game coordinator. That is his job. He is the passing game coordinator, was the same way last year. And I think him and Ben Johnson are a really good duo, both of them starting as tight end coaches, turning into pass game coordinators. And of course, Ben Johnson becoming the offensive coordinator while Tanner Engstrand became the pass game coordinator. I think once Ben Johnson leaves, it's going to be between Tanner Engstrand and Scotty Montgomery for who takes over at that offensive coordinator position. But I think both are very good at their jobs. Hank Fairley, in my opinion, the best offensive line coach in the NFL, has coached this Lions offensive line to be top 2 in the NFL, even when there's backups in, even when there's rotating players, even when there's injuries to arise. He always has that unit ready to go and just always seems to find a way to make that team one of the best offensive lines in football. Steve Oliver, the assistant to him, I don't know much about Jim Holster, but he is the senior offensive assistant. Antoine Randall L., former NFL wide receiver, is the Lions wide receiver coach alongside Seth Ryan, the assistant wide receivers coach. Again, they're doing a very good job. They developed Amon St. Brown really well. They have kind of gotten a career revival out of Josh Reynolds. They have gotten more out of Khalif Raymond than any other team. Hopefully, they can do the same for Jameson Williams. When the season comes back around, they help DJ Chark find some good success down the ladder. So they are a very good duo as well. I think the Lions have a really good wide receivers coach, great tight ends coach, top offensive line coach, great quarterbacks coach. All the positional coaches and really all the coordinator positions, I think, are top tier in the NFL. And I truly believe the Lions have a top 10 staff in the NFL at the moment. Going over to defense, we have had a couple players join the staff as well. Aaron Glenn, of course, remains as the defensive coordinator and will take up that role for the third year in a row. Wayne Blair is defensive quality control coach. I believe he is returning as well. Dre Bly is the newcomer at the cornerbacks position, the former Detroit Lions Pro Bowl cornerback, most recently the cornerbacks coach of North Carolina. North Carolina did not have the best secondary, but also did not recruit very well. So I think that, Drew Bly being an NFL quarterback, being able to, pull from those experiences should be a good thing. Obviously a little too early to tell, but I think is a very encouraging hire. You have David Correo, the defensive assistant / outside linebackers coach, with Cameron Davis, the assistant defensive line coach. Brian Ducker is returning as the Lions defensive backs coach, was promoted after the Miami game last year when Aubrey Pleasant was fired. John Fox, a new addition as well, the former head coach of the Chicago Bears, being just a senior defensive assistant, bringing more experience into that group, bringing more just overall, right? He has head coaching experience. He has experiences running NFL defenses in the NFL. I think this is a good hire. Again, just brings experience, brings kind of that leader on the defensive side, a lot of young coaches, a lot of former players, people that haven't always been around for a long time, but John Fox has been, and I think that this is a very good hire for the Detroit Lions defense. Sean Deion Hamilton, the former NFL linebackers, the assistant linebackers coach. John Scott Jr. is taking over as the new defensive lines coach, while Kelvin Shepard retains his duties as linebackers coach. I think that Kelvin Shepard is, again, one of the top linebackers coaches in the NFL. Just overall, he's gotten a ton of production out of Malcolm Rodriguez. He's gotten good production out of Derek Barnes. He's gotten career production out of Alex Anzalone. He got Josh Woods to play very hard. He's gotten good production out of Anthony Pittman and Chris Board last year. Pretty much everybody that comes through that linebacking core walks out a better football player because of Kelvin Shepard. And I think that is a player that you could watch, or that is a coach, that you could watch, and I think will likely take over for Aaron Glenn if Aaron Glenn is to leave. So I think Kelvin Shepard is a big person to watch out for. I think we'll be getting some defensive coordinator opportunities at some point in the near future, and hopefully it is with the Detroit Lions after Aaron Glenn goes on to be a head coach. And then, of course, you have Dre Thompson, the minority coaching assistant and defensive quality control coach as well. And then we go over to the special teams. You have Dave Phipp and Jet Modkins. The Detroit Lions had a very good special teams last year. Their kicking game was much better. Their return game was very good. Their coverage game was very good. And I think Dave Phipp is a top 10 special teams coordinator in the NFL. Came over from the Eagles, I believe, 2 seasons ago, is in a very good job with the Lions special teams. I don't believe the Lions have allowed a special teams touchdown in the last 2 years from the defensive perspective. And just overall, they're a very good special teams. Had, I believe, one kick return last year. And just, they're a very good unit. I think Dave Phipp is very good at his job. But I mean, overall, this coaching staff is phenomenal. Dan Campbell, the guy at the top, is very good. Scotty Montgomery could potentially be a coordinator. Ben Johnson could potentially be a head coach. You have Mark Brunell, who, again, has some rumors about being an OC potentially. Same thing with Tanner Enstring. Best O-line coach in the NFL, great tight ends coach, really good wide receivers coach, a good defensive coordinator who has been getting interviews for the head coaching position. I think Drew Bly is an encouraging hire. I think John Fox is a great hire for this team. Kelvin Shepard, somebody that I think will get some defensive coordinator opportunities at some point. And then, of course, you have Dave Phipp, who is the special teams coordinator and is pretty good at his job. So you have, one head coach, potentially second head coach, potentially a third head coach. You have a potential defensive coordinator here. You have Tanner Enstring, Mark Brunell, as well as Scotty Montgomery, 3 potential offensive coordinators on this roster. I mean, it is a truly special coaching staff. And I know the Lions lost quite a few coaches. I know the Detroit Lions kind of lost their big assistant head coach in Deuce Staley, as well as their defensive line coach in Todd Wash. But I think they did a good job replacing them, and that is the coaching staff going in to 2023. So with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this coaching staff down in the comments below. Do you think it's a step forward? Do you think it's a step back? I'd be very curious to you guys think. Both all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.